Okay, this may get lengthy so I can explain it well. This happened when I was 5 years old, and it's stuck with me ever since. I'm 26 now and I still can't explain it. I was playing alone in the living room one afternoon. I'm the only child, and my dad was the only other person in the house. There were no pets either. He was in my parents' room at the end of the hallway at the time. I had been spinning around to the point of extreme dizziness, because that was fun for some reason as a kid. I sat down on the living room floor and watched the room spin for probably 30 seconds, when my dad's guitar, which was resting on his stand in the far corner, not within my reach at all, moved. It kind of just rocked to the side a little, like it had been bumped, but it hadn't. It scared me because A, it moved without being touched, and B, I wasn't allowed to touch my dad's guitar anyway. I tried to ignore it and decided to play with the toys and just pretend it didn't happen. Then about 5 minutes later, my dad walked in from the hallway and stood in the doorway. He put his hands on his hips, smiled at me, and asked, "What are you doing?" Before I could answer, the whole thing literally happened over again. My dad walked up, filled in my dad that was still standing there, put his hands on his hips, smiled at me, and asked, "What are you doing?" I was so freaked out at this point that I started crying. My dad was obviously concerned about me and came over to comfort me. I tried to explain what had just happened, but at 5 years old, I couldn't really put it into words that made any sense. My dad brushed it off and did something silly to cheer me up, and that was pretty much the end of it. I remember this all extremely vividly, and I asked my dad about it when I was around 15 and again at around 21. He remembered the day and me getting upset out of nowhere, which was pretty uncharacteristic of me as a child, but nothing strange or out of the ordinary beyond that. I'm home from college for the summer, and my parents are out of town for the week. I've been hanging around the house a lot while they've been gone, because I'm a self-employed musician. These last few days I've been working on beats and making a lot of homemade pizza. Anyway, I've had the house to myself, and because I don't get to cook much, I went wild and made a huge batch of pizza dough for myself. I was prepping my first pizza of the batch for lunch yesterday, and I have this woven washcloth that I use to clean stuff off superficially. The countertop was covered in flour from the dough, and while my pizza was in the oven, I cleaned it with the cloth. This particular washcloth had been used for at least one day, and I was familiar with its dark red color after using it for the past 24 hours. After cleaning the counter, I rinsed the cloth and hung it up on the barrier inside the sink that separates the two portions of the double well. I ate my pizza and decided to leave the final cleanup for later. Come 9 o'clock, I'm hungry for more pizza. I prep the dough just like before and pop it in the oven, trying to perfect my recipe. Once again, it's the same routine. I go to clean the flour off the countertop, but the washcloth had vanished. Gone completely. I was a little weirded out because I remember hanging it up inside the sink. I looked around for a while. After a good 5 minutes of checking every inch of the kitchen, I gave up. Thought nothing of it and grabbed another one. This one a lighter pink color. I go about my business, clean up, put dishes away, etc., and then I go downstairs to watch some Netflix. I finish around midnight and I shut off my TV and sat in the darkness for a while. For whatever reason, I felt an extreme sense of uneasiness and dread. My mind floated back to the washcloth. What the fuck happened to it? It really started to nag me. So I went upstairs to look for the cloth some more, the dread still present. I tore the kitchen apart, sifted through the trash, looked in, around, and under each and every pot and pan. I became desperate. I began opening all the drawers and cupboards. Nothing. I examined both drains, checking using the other cloth to see if it could fit down either of them. I tried explaining it all to myself in any logical way possible. I thought that maybe the dog had jumped onto the counter into the sink, and avoiding all the pizza residue, picked up the cloth and ate it. But she was outside all day, and I know this for a fact. We don't have a doggy door, and there's no way in for her at all. She's too small and well behaved for that anyway. I ruled the dog out and kept thinking. The uneasiness came back in waves. Oddly, I didn't feel safe anymore, and at the time of writing this, I still don't. I said fuck it and went to bed. Now, this is where things started to really fuck with me. I was woken up in the middle of the night by a nightmare. In the dream, I woke up in my bed, and it felt warm in my room, and I could tell that it was morning. I opened my eyes, and the fucking washcloth was draped over my face, damp and warm. The heart attack that followed is what woke me up, and I had trouble falling back to sleep the rest of the night. By morning, I was tired of the whole thing, and I could not shake the feeling that I was stupid for taking the situation so seriously. I felt paranoid and dumb. Even so, it still got to me. I searched the kitchen some more, rechecked all the places I'd checked before, got down on my hands and knees to look for it on the floor, vacuumed underneath the cupboards, oven, and fridge, and still nothing. I even checked the deep freezer in my garage just to be safe. It's now late in the afternoon today, and I'm still miffed. I've searched for at least an hour and a half for this thing, and there's no way it's still in this house. This took place around 2 years ago, in the middle of me moving out of my parents' house and moving into my own apartment in Orlando. I had adopted a dog, a little mutt with longer hair, and he was a little old man who I pitied. That's the reason why I adopted him, because he was clearly on his final couple of years, and I didn't want him to die in a small kennel in a shelter. His name was Ken, like Kaneki Ken from Tokyo Ghoul, but spelled with a C. I loved him to death for the year I had him. Going back to the point of this whole post. As I said before, I was in the middle of moving and none of my furniture was set up, and I had my mattress on the floor. I decided it was a good time to move Ken into the apartment so I could set up all of his stuff. I took him out to potty and played with him outside for a while. It was a normal day. And then we went home. I cuddled with him on the floor with a blanket for a while, and I fell asleep with him since we were both tired. When I woke up, I put him in his pen and made sure to lock both of the locks. Now, this pen is an older one me and my dad built when I was 10, since our old dog used to always escape. Since it was an older pen, it creaked very loudly since I was too lazy to even oil it and was used to the noise. I went to the bathroom. When I came out, he was gone. The cage still being tightly locked with both of the hinges disappeared into thin air, never to be found again. It's been 2 years and I miss him, but I'm thinking about getting another dog this year. Maybe a puppy this time. Has anyone else had this experience? I doubt if you have had it, but it could still happen to anyone, I guess. Even if you have an old dying dog. Hey scaredy cats, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on any of the stories. If you have any stories that you'd like for me to read, you can find the links for submissions in the description below.